This is the moment Serb TV announced that Radovan Karadzic was under arrest after almost 13 years. A poet and a psychiatrist, his jovial manner masked a ruthless man accused of masterminding some of the worst war crimes of the late 20th century. He's now facing trial.
His arrival should happen in the near future. We don't have the exact date at which point he will have the initial appearance before the judges to answer the many charges against him, including genocide, complicity in genocide, exterminations, murders, and many other crimes committed in Bosnia and Herzegovina during the war in 1992 to 1995.
On the streets of Sarajevo, the lights burned bright way into the night as Muslims celebrated Karadzic's arrest.
On one hand, I'm happy, but I'm also frustrated that it's only happening now. I've lost my father because of criminals like him, who did to us what they did.
I didn't believe it when I heard, but it's great news. Super. It can't be better.
In Belgrade, heavily armed forces deployed around the war crimes court where Karadzic was taken, his supporters gathering near the building. Views were mixed on his arrest.
When today's parliament session was adjourned for 2 weeks, it was clear what was happening. The question is why they haven't arrested him earlier. This just shows that we work only under pressure.
This is an act of high treason, and those responsible for the arrest will answer for that.
In arresting Radovan Karadzic, the Serbian government has increased its chances of joining unions like NATO and the EU. But analysts say the greater prize will be Karadzic's military chief, Ratko Mladic, who's still on the run.
It's quite significant, and I would not want to diminish the significance of turning over Karadzic. Karadzic is still a major figure, not as beloved among many Serbs as Mladic, but still quite significant.
As Bosnia fell apart, Radovan Karadzic rose quickly to become the political leader of the breakaway Serb Republic, while Ratko Mladic, on the left, was in charge of the army. There were years of fighting and ethnic cleansing. Eventually, NATO stepped in. Its bombing raids on Serbian troops made Karadzic furious.
Why they take one side in a civil war? And I do think that they have created a precedent that may endanger world peace and that may trigger Third World War.
In the town of Srebrenica, as UN troops looked on, the Serbs separated thousands of Muslim men from their families and executed them. When the leaders of the former Yugoslavia signed the Dayton Peace Accord, it was the end of the Bosnian War. But for Karadzic, it was the beginning of years in hiding. Time and time again, he evaded the raids of peacekeeping troops. So now it's up to the court in The Hague. Serbs are suspicious of it, but the court hopes the trial of Karadzic will help reconciliation in the Balkans. John Terrett, Al Jazeera.
Well, the Bosnian president welcomed the arrest, but says more needs to be done to achieve full justice.
This is at least some relief for the families of the victims of this genocide. But we must remember, Milosevic is dead, Karadzic is arrested, but their project lives on in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Hundreds of thousands of people around the world are Bosnians who were expelled from their homes under the threat of life. So, for justice to be complete, we must erase the consequences of this genocide in Bosnia.